Fueled by Deathcast. The Fueled by Death Guest.
All right, D-Man. I've been wanting to talk with Jim Starlin on the show since we met him a couple years ago at New York Comic Con.
Look at this classy bastard.
That's the photo right there, yeah.
I remember the rest of the photo because it looks, you see, there's
a separate photo, and I'll put that in the show as well, with you and Kane and Ron Mars and Paul Harding and Jim.
And it looks like a boy band.
Yeah, and we're all hanging out. Actually, I took the photo. We're all hanging out behind the truck at New York Comic Con. It was the first year we brought the Death Wish coffee truck down there. But Jim Starlin is a freaking legend in the comic book community.
He's a legend outside of the comic book community.
Totally. He's a double threat. He's a writer and an artist, and he's done some incredible stuff, including creating some of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Both Drax and Gamora are his characters, and the big bad of the Avengers universe right now on the screen and in the comic books, Thanos.
And also the pinnacle of why everything's happening. He created the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones.
Yes.
Which is the reason why all the Marvel movies are happening. It's pretty intense. This guy is the mastermind of everything evil behind everything that you see in the Marvel universe today.
It's awesome. And on top of that, right now, he's got a really cool Kickstarter going on with our good friends, actually, over at Ominous Press, the same press that puts out our own comic book. And that Kickstarter will get you two incredible books from Jim, one being a novel that he illustrated, all set in his trademark sci-fi, space epic, incredible theater called Mind Games. And the other is the Black Book, The Art of Jim Starlin, which is a ton of art that the world has never seen. Variant covers, some splash pages that just never made it to print, all sorts of cool stuff. We talk about that. We talk about the creation of Thanos and all this other stuff. And we talk about even him. He worked for DC for a while, creating one of the most iconic stories ever for Batman, A Death in the Family.
Probably the most iconic Batman.
There's ones that would argue with that, but it's up there for sure. And it's what an incredible conversation for fans of comic books or comic book movies. This episode you don't want to miss. And I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek of tomorrow's brand new podcast with Jim Starlin right here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the whole Infinity Gauntlet and as a creation, because I'm always curious, especially from a writer's side and a perspective, when you came up with the character of Thanos and then also the Infinity Gauntlet, did you have that fleshed out as a MacGuffin, like in your stories right from the beginning, or did it kind of coalesce as you fleshed that character out through all the stories you got to write with him?
Definitely fleshed out. I mean, there was at least 5 or 6 years, maybe even longer, between the first Thanos story and the Gauntlet. I would have had to be really slow to take it that long. But most of the time, at the early days of Marvel, they would let you pretty well run because they didn't have enough editors to interfere with you at this point. So when Roy Thomas was an editor, I would come in there and he would say, "What do you want to do with Captain Marvel?" And I say, "Super Scroll," and he'd go. And that was it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, literally, we had a story conference like that one time.
Wow.
And he had enough sense to know if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Captain Marvel and later on Warlock were doing well. So where did they come from? Thanos came out of a psych class in junior college after I got out of the service, a lecturer speaking on the Freudian concepts of Thanos and Eros. Mm-hmm. I took to the dark side, of course.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
The Infinity Gauntlet, on the other hand, I had thrown in and added some extra Infinity Stones along the way in one of the Avenger Annual, I think it was. And it was just like a little throwaway thing that 2 or 3 panels was mentioned in, and it was used for something else.